The following is a special presentation of Tony Kurre Radio.
Welcome back to the version of the UAB Director's Chair. He is the athletic director for your UAB Blazers and a busy man. Mark Ingram joins us right here on Tony Kurre Radio. I am Tony Kurre. Marcus, how are you doing, my friend? What's going on?
Man, I'm excellent. Thank you.
Man,
you're
summertime
right.
has been crazy. We've not done a show in about 2 or 3 weeks. My airtime is your airtime. You had a wedding. You had a groundbreaking. You got helicopters flying. You've got meetings. I mean, please share what you can. I know you got a lot of personal stuff going on, and everything in your personal life is fantastic. We'll talk about the college football and all that stuff a little later on. But congratulations on everything that's going on. Do share.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, our son, who's now learned that he's going to be a helicopter pilot for the Marine Corps. He's training, but he found that out about a month ago. So we went down to Pensacola to be a part of that little ceremony that they have. So that was exciting. And then our daughter got married shortly thereafter. And then we went to our spring meetings, American Conference spring meetings down in Florida. And then I just got back from a national convention out in Las Vegas. So it's been, very busy. All positive and all really good, but
and a groundbreaking as well.
And we had a groundbreaking in the middle of that. Thank you. Yeah, that was terrific. I'll tell you, you can tell how excited people are for various projects based on the turnout of people that come to be a part of the event. We had a huge crowd.
Awesome.
I don't remember. I know we had a big crowd when we broke ground on the football practice facility 10 years ago. But I mean,
has it been 10 years since you built that?
Well, it opened up in July of 17.
Wow. That's all,
and
10 years,
I think it took 1 year to build. I think it was like a really fast build.
Yeah.
So I think it was, call it summer of 16. I don't know the exact date when we broke ground, but anyway, we had a big crowd for that, and we had a big crowd for the ribbon cutting, and we'll have a huge crowd for the ribbon cutting for the arena too in October. But a ton of donors came out, which is great, and a lot of the people that supported the project, and a lot of campus faculty and other leaders around campus coming to support the project, because I really think that it's going to be something. I mean, dare I use the word elegant? I think the arena may feel somewhat almost elegant when it's finished, the concourse space, which I'm excited about. I mean, it just raises the profile of the way people view the department and all of our facilities, and then campus, because you can't just go walk into the Colette School of Business. You can't walk in there. You have to have an ID card to get in. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people don't know how beautiful it is. It's terrific. And I'm just using that one example.
Sure.
Well, when you come into the arena, it sets the tone for what people kind of perceive everything else to be. And we have 200,000 visitors that come into the arena. So I'm excited for that change, because it's indicative of the real truth of what the campus is today. Like when you walk into the arena today, that's not the way our campus looks. I mean, it's 40 years worth of popcorn grease and soda stains.
Sure.
The bones of it's great. The size of it's great. There's a lot of great things about it. But it just needs a refresh,
Yeah, no doubt. And when will it be complete?
October.
Okay, awesome. Right in the middle of basketball season, or is basketball season?
Yeah, right before. I mean, we keep pressing the contractor. You understand?
Yeah.
The first week of November, we're going to play a basketball game. We've got to be, And volleyball starts at the end of August. And so what our volleyball team is doing is they're playing a lot of their non-conference games, their early on the road, which will be a challenge for them. And it's just a growing pain. I hate it for the team and for our fans that love watching them play. But it's just necessary in order to make this project happen.
Yeah. A lot of good stuff going on. info@tonykurreradio.net, info@tonykurreradio.net. If you have any email questions, we do answer everything. I can't make him answer questions, but I'll certainly throw out the big ones, the hard ones out there. For marking one of the reasons I have you on is if we can talk to coaches, do X's and O's all day long until we're blue in the face. But I like to pull back the curtain on what college sports are, and certainly it is changing every single day. And I'm glad that I have you on to explain some of these things because I really don't like to get into the political aspect of it. I know there's a bill that's being advanced by Ted Cruz.
Yeah.
Could you please explain to me what that is, what that means, and why that's important?
Yeah, it's called Protect College Sports Act, and it's a bipartisan bill. As you mentioned, Senator Ted Cruz. So there's a Republican and a Democrat. So I say bipartisan, meaning that. And the hope is uh, by doing it that way and presenting it by, a member of each party that they'll get enough support from both sides because it impacts schools in every single state. And so regardless of whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, the universities in your state are being affected by the lack of control that we now have in this pay for play era of college sports. And so, we have rules and when fans and administrators, when we all get frustrated by various things around all this, we have rules against it. We have rules, but you find a friendly judge in a particular state that says, "Oh, the NCAA can't enforce their rules in our state." I mean, we all pay, even though we do receive a distribution back from the NCAA, we pay a membership due to be a member of the NCAA.
Yeah.
We, administrators and coaches, we are the ones who make the rules.
Mhm.
We're the ones who vote on all these different things. And then to have a school petition, or seemingly assist in petitioning to make a player eligible that broke a rule, or I'm thinking of the Diego Pavia case in Tennessee, the Chambliss case in Mississippi. The NCAA doesn't have laws; it has bylaws,
Exactly. Yeah.
and so you can only do so much. So Protect College Sports Act.
And by the way,
uh,
this whole idea of going legal and going judicial is relatively new to the NCAA. I mean, we had this whole House versus NCAA, and that was not the House
yeah,
House. That was actually the name. That's what I loved about the antitrust implications and everything else of the NCAA. We realized that they had a lot of power. They had a big hammer that was created by the institutions. It was something that was certainly needed. We knew that when the NCAA was snooping around your doorstep, you were in trouble. It was huge news on
yeah,
every sports station. I remember we were saying, "Oh my gosh, the NCAA just flew a plane into Tuscaloosa. Look out!" And
yeah.
I mean, and it was a huge story. And now it just doesn't matter. And so when
Well,
people start
rules are only good if you follow them.
exactly, and then when
Yeah,
you're going to go above that,
yeah,
which what you're doing, it kind of took the bite out of everything the
yeah.
NCAA was trying to do, and
So
so
this would give us antitrust exemption so
yeah,
that we can enforce our own rules that we have.
yeah.
And it's not that we need to go create rules. We have the rules, but
And I don't know
we
why
don't have
people
the
would not want
jurisdiction to
that.
enforce.
Why wouldn't people want that exempt? Why wouldn't your institutions want that unless you're cheating your ass off?
But the institutions all want that.
Yeah,
But what it has become is a political ping pong game where one party, might say, well, you're trying to restrict those kids and prevent them from making money. The money that these young people are making is not true market value of what their value would be in any other setting.
yeah,
It is how much money can we raise, generate, or get from our institution to grossly overpay them so that we can find a way to win a championship because we're all so crazy about winning a championship. Look, I want to win championships too, but sometimes we get completely overzealous and we lose our mind. It's like having temporary insanity, and you're just like, whatever the cost. And you're like, can you stop and listen to what you just said? Whatever the cost, meaning your integrity, whatever it might cost your institution or other areas of your department to sacrifice and hurt in order to help this area.
well, and I
It's
think I
a
think I think the
problem.
biggest I think the biggest step in that right now, and we've certainly talked about that. We talk about that $20.5 million cap We
Yeah.
certainly see in Major League Baseball, the LA Dodgers are spending over $400 million dollars a year. The Pittsburgh Pirates are spending under $80 million dollars a year, just to show you the disparity. And then, yes, and the Dodgers have
Yeah.
won the last couple of years. Yes, Kansas City has won a World Series. The Reds have won a World Series. It doesn't happen more than it used to back in the 70s and 80s and 90s when you had the cookie cutter little things. But so just because you're buying the best team doesn't mean you're always going to win. It does obviously give you a huge advantage. I would think one of the most important parts going into the season is to make sure, because the Dodgers don't care what they spend because they're making so much money they can pay the luxury tax is not a deterrent for them. It doesn't matter. They have no they don't have a budget. They just go out there and spend whatever they need to get
Yeah.
to play competitive baseball because they know they're going to make it on the backside. Uh,
Yeah.
can you talk a little bit about that $20.5 million dollars and how loosey goosey that is? Because like a Texas Tech, I mean, they've already said they're like $80 million dollars in. They're already blowing past it. Why are they doing that? Why are they getting away with that? And how can
Yeah.
we stop that?
Yeah. And so again, that's part of what the Protect College Sports Act does. So the 20.5 million is what the athletic department is allowed. The institution can pay through what's called revenue sharing. You can go get NIL dollars from businesses to do endorsement deals with your kids to go beyond the cap. And
Okay.
that's really where the problem lies is we have the
So
College
so
Sports
so hold
Commission.
on. So the cap money's coming from the institution, correct?
Yeah,
So the
right.
institution can pay the $20.5 million dollars, and then anything that comes in from outside the institution that doesn't count against the cap at all. So someone can
That's
come in and
right.
stroke an $80 million dollars. Well, that's just
And
dumb.
that's part of the deal is while these players um, might be really good at what they do, they don't have, think of the letters NIL, name, image,
Things like,
likeness.
yeah.
They don't have a name, image, and likeness value of seven figures. They don't have a name, image, likeness value of $5,000. You
Eh,
can't put their face on a billboard. And the common way, the best way to think about it is, could the common fan, could your grandma ride by a billboard and say, "Oh, that's Tony Curry,"
yeah.
and know that?
But
And now you say,
that's where the clearinghouse comes in play, right?
"That's right," and
Okay.
and so trying to work through that, but
And the
that's all
clearinghouse,
been
explain what the clearinghouse does.
well. You're supposed to submit all these deals. The players are supposed to submit all the deals, and the convention I just came from, one of the ADs from the ACC said, "Hey, what needs to happen is the school needs to have to submit that and the student athlete so that you know that the deals are being submitted. What people question are the deals being submitted?
Yeah.
And by the time you find out through IRS records that they weren't submitted, the kid's probably graduated and gone.
Hmm.
And so, trying to protect all these things, Fernando Mendoza, by the time he finished, Yaxel Lindeborg, by the time he finished, because let's use Yaxel because of his unique name. They won the national championship, and he was the Big Ten Player of the Year. Because of these unique things, he has a value greater than some people,
Hmm.
but not what he was probably paid for that. And
Yep.
so that's the point. You're paying him on the front end before anybody knows who he is for a name, image, likeness value that he doesn't have yet,
Hmm.
that you're betting he will have. And so anyway, this Protect College Sports Act would give us antitrust exemption, which is the biggest thing. It also gives us the ability to change to enforce our own rules, so we could go back to the transfer rule where you could transfer once without penalty, but you can't transfer repeatedly without having to sit out, and
Yep.
that would also slow the money down. And you go, well, okay, well, if you think about the capitalist environment, why do you care how much money the kids make? Well, I don't care how much money the kids make, but I don't think it should be at the expense of the institution.
Yeah.
And there's probably 100 sport programs, and if it's not 100, it's close. Since we started paying players in this pay for play era, call it 3-ish years ago, um, maybe it's 3.5, 4 years ago, there's almost 100 sport programs nationally that have been eliminated. And it's because the schools are trying to keep up. It's sports that don't generate revenue.
Yeah.
And people go, man, if we eliminated that, we'd have that much money that we're currently investing here that we could put over there. And that means you're eliminating opportunities for students. And while you may not care about women's tennis, They do. Their families do. It's fantastic what they do, and they're great kids trying to get a degree and trying to probably go on to be do great things and using their sport uh, to gain an education. And so that's what people are trying to do is protect all sport in college so that we don't keep seeing these sport eliminations because they can't keep up financially.
How have women's sports played into all this? And I know we have Title IX. Has there been any talk about, hey, listen, the guys are making a lot more than the women are, and having any types of lawsuits that involve? Obviously, I know we have Title IX, but there's got to be some situations where we see a basketball program bringing in $6, $7, $8 million, and the program of the women's is not bringing in anything just because it doesn't have the receipt value to do something like that. Is that a fight to be fought another day?
Well, the House settlement, that Judge Wilkin said that paying players through revenue sharing was not, she ruled that it was not a Title IX issue and should be based on, revenues received. Now, the whole thing, the flaw in the House settlement, and there were many, just suggests that there's more money readily available in revenues, almost like we all make the same thing. The way that the formula was figured out as to what the back pay settlement would be, it pooled all of our revenues together, meaning our revenues at UAB were combined with the revenues at Alabama, Auburn, Ohio State, and Texas, and then averaged out amongst the number of schools. Well, that suggests that I have access to the revenues of those schools, which obviously I do not.
Yeah.
And it suggested that, oh, look at all this money that you have. And that's the way they came up with 20.5 million. And it's how they came up with what the back pay should be. Um, but she determined that it was not a Title IX issue, and it's a fair question, but to this point, it has not become that. Now, when you see these sports get eliminated, these schools are having to make sure that they are compliant with Title IX in terms of participation opportunities for men and women based on the ratio, male to female ratio at their institution.
This is the UAB director's chair. We get down and dirty into it and love talking about this stuff because I think as a college football fan, we need to know what's going on with our sport. I mean, it's great that we're going to be starting college football 11 weeks from tonight. I think that's wonderful. UAB, by the way, has
Wow.
Illinois that first weekend, so that's going to be a monster game. But at the same time, we're also talking about what's it going to cost to take my son to go see an SEC football game this year, and those days seem to be gone for the average Joe like me that could afford an $80 ticket. I just don't see it happening. I'm watching this NBA thing last night where the tickets are $8,000, and of course I'm seeing Jerry Seinfeld and all these other people. I'm just like,
Yeah.
okay, it's just a different world I live in.
Taylor
It's
Swift.
not so we have a lot to do before the college football season. Um, I think a lot of people are of the belief that once the first snap happens in 11 weeks, that everything's just we're going to forget about everything and we're going to be back down to playing college football. It's all going to feel good again. And we can
Yeah.
just forget about all these paying and this, that, and the other. And I'm sure a big part of that will we play out because we have tailgating. There's so many other things that go along with college football outside just the game itself,
Yeah.
because it is a lifestyle. What can we plan on knowing or getting solidified legally before the college football season starts? Or will we? Or are we going to be working through this crap while the season's going on?
Well, we need to get it done by August because of the cycle of when they're in session and when they're not in session, and then you get to the midterm elections, and if you don't get this done by August, then they're going to be so laser focused on midterm elections that there's not going to be any work done. So we're pressing hard to try to get this pushed through Congress quickly. So hopefully it happens.
And
And
is it
the big question, Tony, at the convention, so we had a meeting of all the athletic directors, the Division One ADs on Tuesday. And the question that was asked, which I think is a good one, is it's not perfect. The Protect College Sports Act is not perfect, but are we
Mhm.
better with it or without it? And
Yeah.
I think everyone agrees that while it isn't perfect, we are better with it than without it. So
And and
we're
and,
all
and
in favor.
yeah, in NASCAR we have this thing called drafting, and it's a restricted plate race thing where you get right up on the bumper of a guy, and obviously because of the wind configuration of the cars and stuff, you're actually saving fuel and you're actually getting right behind the bumper, and you can do it on the interstates and stuff behind 18 wheelers. I did it on the way home today. Um, but occasionally when you have two cars that are getting so far out in front of everyone else, the only way to win that race is someone's got to stick their neck out. Someone's got to get out of line. Normally, they will get pushed all the way to the back, but it does slingshot a bunch of other cars into an ideology or an opportunity to actually come back and try to make up some lost ground and perhaps win a race. I feel like the SEC and the Big Ten are those two cars right now. I don't think they're even looking back in the rearview mirror, and I think that there's no one that's willing. I don't know if they can, they don't want to, no, but it doesn't feel like to me the Big 12, the now revamped Pac-12, whatever the hell that is with Utah State, Gonzaga, I don't get that. The ACC, it doesn't look like anyone's wanting to fight the two big boys on the playground, and because of that, they're stuck. They're just going to have to agree to whatever the SEC and the Big Ten want to do. Has there been any talk among ADs or commissioners saying, "Listen, we can't allow these two big boys because there's you got to go with the number, right? I mean, you're talking about two. I don't want to see an all SEC football schedule for God's sakes. Kirby Smart, I know why he said what he did. That's fine, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but it looks like the Big Ten is now the bully on the block. Sankey's Sankey's getting put in his place. He's all of a sudden saying, okay, we'll add a ninth game, no more cupcake games. I know that affects teams like you, but is there anyone sticking their neck out saying, listen, we can't do this, or are they just kind of going along with it?
Yeah, I mean, everybody's trying to be very careful not to turn into Jerry Maguire. They don't want to
Yeah,
say too much
yeah.
publicly. But again, in the AD meeting, one of the questions about the Protect College Sports Act is the bill specifically calls out the SEC and the Big Ten, and one of the questions was why were these two? Someone from the Big Ten said why were these two conferences called out? That doesn't they said that's why we don't like it, and I think the answer is with let's say, a rhetorical question. One, it's a problem that most everyone have not seen the college football playoff contract. This is not a public contract. It's not been made available for everyone to see. But I have seen it, and it specifically says in the college CFP contract that all future decisions of the CFP will be made by the SEC and the Big Ten.
Wow,
So with
wow.
input from the others. And so I think the answer to why are those two called out in the Protect College Sports Act is the same reason that those two are the only ones mentioned in the CFP, as an example. Now, I
Yeah.
don't know that. I'm not Ted Cruz. Haven't talked to Ted Cruz. I don't know how it got written, but that's my assumption. And the NFL, you mentioned Major League Baseball. The NFL is successful because, and it's the most successful professional league because of parity.
Yep.
They don't have the NFC East doing their own television deal and the AFC West doing their own television deal. You don't have that. They do one deal as a league and they equally share the money. And when they started doing that in the late 70s, when television became a thing, the owners, and it's important to say this, the owners don't get fired. They
Hmm.
own the team.
Hmm.
Nobody's firing the owner. You can't, you know. So they were able to make decisions. You have to assume that, yes, Los Angeles, Chicago, Dallas, Miami, New York had greater television value than, say, Kansas City, Buffalo, and Green Bay. But they saw the value in the league that every school, or sorry, every team coast to coast believes they can win the championship. That's what makes the NFL great, is
Yeah, it
that the
does.
entire country is interested because they see the value that their team, this could be the year, through the draft, through free agency, and the fact that they all make the same money. So that's what they did. They distributed all the money the same. Protect College Sports Act talks about the ability to get multiple conferences together to pool their television rights. I can't imagine that the autonomy for conferences like this, because they like being able to, one up each other and have a bigger deal to financially separate. But if we could go back in time and we could do our broadcast rights for all of just say like all of college football Division 1, we share equally.
Hmm.
Um, that's what real competition looks like, is
Yeah.
that then we're hey, if I can sell more tickets than you do, yes, we make more money. We have more money to build a nicer facility or travel better. That's the way the NFL is. If you look at AT&T Stadium and the Dallas Cowboys, they have a bigger stadium, they have more suites. Uh, Perhaps, Mr. Jones makes more money, but the team on the field is making the same money as the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
And now, what does he do with that money? Keep it for himself, buy a bigger boat, or he can invest it and into the team in a way where he says, like, hey man, I'm going to give every single player their own nutritionist or their own massage therapist or what. He can do all that if that's what he wants to do. But the talent on the field is the same. And then, the NFL values parity so much, Tony, that you win the Super Bowl and you're rewarded with the last pick of the draft.
Yeah. It's
Right?
it's a great recipe. It's great. I mean,
That's why it works.
yeah, you can go from worst to
We
first.
haven't done
Yeah,
that.
no, and it's crazy because they're not only feeding the golden goose, they're building it a bigger cage. And I mean, and as opposed to
Yeah,
what it seems like college football is doing, then everyone's just looking for the quick dollar. I don't want an all SEC college football schedule. I don't want an all Big Ten. I want it the way it was. I like the fact that once in a while an Appalachian State could knock off Michigan.
sure.
I like those things. The fact that we don't have cupcake games, I mean, people don't like them, but I did like them. Occasionally, it was an opportunity to actually go to a game and get in pretty cheap.
Well, there's less opportunity though for the mid-major schools, the lower resource schools to win now
Yeah,
because of revenue sharing and paying players. And the more alums you have, the bigger your enrollment is, the better your opportunity is to have those dollars to pay players, which means they're just buying talent. It
so
used to
so
be that you as a coach might develop a relationship with a great player. You just do a better job than me, and you get some great player to come to your school. It had nothing to do with because your scholarship that you're
yeah.
offering was the same as the scholarship that I'm offering.
So we talked about this a couple of days ago. We can pretty much expect a top 25 to look and not say a lot different, but certainly different than we've had it over the last 20 to 30 years because there's no Indiana's got 837 thousand alumni.
Right,
Okay, Alabama's got slightly over 200,000. Okay, so
right.
everyone just ponies up a buck or two. I mean, you've
Yeah,
got a mass. So all of a sudden, for people that think that Indiana was a one and done, I got news for you. Indiana's
no,
going to be there every single year. Texas Tech is going to be there every single year. What scares me, we always hear about this oil money, this Cuban money, the Nike money, and these guys. I mean. $1 billion ain't $1 billion anymore. We used to say
yeah.
that with a B. We don't even say a B anymore. I mean, because that's the kind of money that's being spent. And so I would fully expect that, by the end of the year, screw having 8 to 10 SEC teams in the top 25. We're going to have 8 to 10 Texas teams in the top 25 because they're going to be throwing away the money every single year.
Well, and the Big Ten as a whole has the largest alumni bases
They've got
school
8
by
of the top
school.
10. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, than any other league. It doesn't mean they will raise the money. It does certainly mean that they have the ability to. And
Yeah.
when the money dictates now and determines the talent on the field, that's where you see that separation.
Yeah. Um, Great stuff. I could sit and talk to you all day about this stuff, and I feel so much smarter by doing that. I've got to ask you about the Brendan Sorsby situation. I can't believe
Yeah,
that we have made a deal with the devil. It just stinks from the judge, the Lubbock, it just stinks. He made over 9,000 different bets. And of course, to sit there and say that he pulled the old Pete Rose thing and never bet against his team, I think is a bunch of hogwash. I think that's
yeah.
ridiculous. Any gambler knows that you don't take one side and only play that side. I don't care if it's your mother who's the quarterback. Um, what can you give me? I mean, well, I'm not surprised by it. I mean, come on. I mean, when I saw DraftKings and all that crap coming out 10 years ago, I said these are going to be legal books within 10
Yeah,
years. And they
yeah.
kept getting shot down. They kept getting shot down. They kept getting shot down. I said they're just going to stick it out till finally it's legalized. And then all of these kids who got on there were playing fantasy football. And by the way, I saw this DraftKings now legal in all 50 states. It's not legal in all 50 states.
No, it's not.
DraftKings, you can get on DraftKings. It doesn't mean you can make bets. You can't do that in the state of Alabama. There's
Right.
3 states that can't do that. And I love that. Quite frankly, I do.
Well, I think
Um,
Texas is one of them.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
which is an
so
interesting nugget on
it,
this
it really,
situation that you can't
it
gamble in the
really
state of
is.
Texas. But
It's crazy, but I mean, we're taking a sex addict and allowing him to go back into a strip club to work. If he's a true addict, like he says he is, and I know Art Schleister. I wouldn't say he's a friend of mine, but I've done radio shows with Art. I've done a lot of things to talk about him. I've got addiction in my family. I know how addiction works. You're not doing this kid any favors by any stretch of the imagination. But can you please talk about? I mean, I can't believe that Texas Tech is. I mean, they're going to protect their player. I get that, but
yeah,
this reeks. This just
well,
reeks.
so again, in this meeting, this was talked about by the Big 12 ADs mostly. And, there was a consistent theme that everyone was shocked by it, really. And Charlie Baker, the NCAA president, came to the meeting and he talked about it and he was shocked. I mean, he looked really defeated,
Oh,
he disappointed, And now I will say this, and I don't know if you read this, but so their athletic director is a guy named Kirby Hocutt. Kirby's a great guy. I've known him
mhm.
for a long time.
Yep.
And so a lot of people are using the word integrity and saying this is wrong and I can't believe you guys are doing this. And Kirby came out and made a statement that I think is important, which is that he said Texas Tech did not file this lawsuit. The young man did.
Mhm.
Texas Tech has had no involvement in what he and his legal team, Brendan Sorsby's legal team, did with this judge. They're not a party to that. He said the young man admitted himself into a clinic, uh, recognizing that he had an issue, and we're supporting him in that, in trying because he's our student athlete, and we all do that. We have student athletes who come to us, and we learn later on that they have an addiction of some kind, almost normally substances,
Mhm.
and we get them rehab. The public doesn't know that because it would be a violation of federal law
Yeah.
to share student information, personal health, or academic data about a student. And so the world doesn't know what you're doing, but you're trying to help that young man or young woman through their issue, their, let's just call it medical issue. And, gambling has been uh, identified as a legitimate addiction and
Sure.
just like a substance. And so from Texas Tech's perspective, I appreciate where they're coming from is they're saying like, hey, we didn't have anything to do with this lawsuit. We are supporting this young man because he is one of ours now and he lives in our community and we want to help him. And so it's a tough spot.
Yeah, and we're not talking about Archie Manning. We're not talking about a Mendoza. We're talking about Brandon Sorsby, who came from Cincinnati. I followed him. Had good numbers, obviously well enough to be able to transfer and go to Texas Tech, who, by the way, made the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
Some people are like, let him play. We'll beat his ass anyway. It doesn't matter. The guy threw for
Yeah.
over 7,000 yards last year. Obviously, he's got something to prove. I just, you're right. That's the most important part of this whole thing is to make sure that he gets treatment.
Yeah.
And it is a disease. And I know some people don't like that and they broad brush it and it's stigmatized and
But
everything
on the
else.
word
But
of integrity, and that's Texas Tech's point is don't we all have a duty to try to help young people grow and develop and
yeah, but
work
we
through these
also have to
things?
put them in a situation so they don't
So,
relapse. And by leaving him in
yeah,
a
yeah, yeah, yeah,
situation
yeah.
where he is being,
Yeah,
what I'm saying is you're putting him in a situation where he can actually dictate what happens on a
right,
scoreboard.
right.
And every time he throws a weird looking pick, everyone's going to be saying it's fixed.
Oh, yeah.
Every time he fumbles the ball
Or
or
they're just a overthrow, underthrow.
anything, yeah,
Yeah, right. No, I got it.
they're obviously not going to do anything if he has a 4 touchdown game with no picks because he's obviously trying to make plays.
Well, and you're
And
giving a lot of
you don't play.
money.
People don't bet on you going. Listen, I really need you to have a great game in order to make my bet. What they do is they know what you can control, and that is you're going to throw the game, you're going to drop the pass, you're going to drop the ball, you're going to fumble the ball, you're going to make sure you overthrow your receivers because we can control that. I can't control a guy who throws for 8 touchdowns in a
Yeah.
football game because he has a great
Well,
game.
and to your point, and this comes back to the Protect College Sports Act, is that these young people who are not ready to to manage the sort of money that they have. So how do they spend their money? It's not usually on things that grown adults would spend their money on because they lack the maturity
Yeah.
to manage those sort of dollars the right way. And so
Now,
now
listen,
you
I'm not
have
an
it. What do
idiot,
you
man.
do
I've been
with it?
I've been on college campuses. Gambling is huge
Rampant.
on
It's rampant
college.
everywhere, whether it's legal
Huge.
in your state or not. People are
Yeah.
doing it. Look, you can go to a game. I don't care where you're at. And you notice that fan who's down the row from you who is just losing their mind. They're not just cheering. They're
Mhm.
not like, oh, we missed that shot or oh, we dropped that pass. They are like enraged over what's happening. Yeah, because they bet a lot of money on the game.
Yeah.
That's the deal. It's
Yep.
not hard to figure out. And
No.
yeah, it's rampant. It's rampant through college campuses with college students. It's rampant with adult fans, just working through a local friend that's a bookie. It's crazy.
Yeah, that was and again, you want to watch the integrity of the game. I hate it because there's going to be so many people, these conspiratorial folks. Oh, it's fixed. It must be fixed. That was such a bad show. It must have been fixed. Or why'd the coach call that play? It must be fixed. Blah blah blah. You're going to have those people coming out of the woodwork. Normally, it takes more than one person to fix anything. It normally takes multitudes of people, and that's why it's so difficult to do. And at the same time, when you're talking about throwing football games, um, you have to make it worth your time. The Alabama State situation was a joke. I mean, these players are making $2,000. I'm like, you're throwing away your career for $2,000. I mean, make
Right.
it worth you. And the thing is most of the things that you can actually dictate or change in a game, whether it's over/unders on interceptions or touchdown passes, there's a cap on what you can play. I mean, Sors's
Right.
not dropping $150,000 on a game. I mean, he's not doing it. First of all, he got it, but second of all, because Vegas is going to see that, or anyone's going to see that and go, okay, wait a minute, something's wrong here. All of a sudden, we've got someone doing a prop bet and placing
Right.
$50,000 with 6 different places. The
Yeah.
bells will go up, but it's unfortunate, and I hate it. And it's like, duh, like we knew it's
It
not
comes
going to be the
back to
last
Protect
time. It's
College
going to.
Sports Act. If we had the ability to enforce our own rules, this wouldn't be left up to the courts. It would be left up to the NCAA to manage, which we have rules that
Yeah,
are very black and white.
and then I'll let you go. Just I love this bill, and I hope it goes through. Politicians don't want to be part of this, do they? They kind of want the antitrust thing, right? They want the NCAA to make their own rules and then get
No,
out of here.
well, what unfortunately what some number, and I don't want to say all, but some number of politicians have gotten very involved in this because they see the national interest in the topic, and if they attach their name to it, it popularizes them for reelection.
Really, they do that? Is that really happening?
Yeah, believe it or not.
All right, my man. Hey, thanks for getting back in touch. Missed you over the last couple of weeks. Always remarkable stuff. This is going to be probably one of our most listened to things because I think people just need to hear this stuff. And you've always painted it very, very clear and been very, very transparent in everything you said. So we greatly appreciate everything. And yeah, 11 weeks from today, 77 days till college football. Not a boatload of great games on that Thursday, but there are some good Saturday games. We got
We
the
got
Dublin,
one.
we got the Dublin game. And of course, UAB is going to be taking on the Fighting Illini, which is going to be a great little matchup.
Yeah.
So looking forward to that. All right, my man. Thank you so much. Go to UABsports.com, UABsports.com for everything that is UAB. Go Blazers, my friend. Thank you.
Go Blazers. Thanks, Tony.
This has been a special presentation of Tony Curry Radio.